Okay, hey guys, welcome to my first Q&A session. Firstly, guys, thank you so much for all of your questions and everything that you've been sending in. I'm not going to be able to get through an awful lot, probably only going to get through a couple at a time, but thank you massively, so much, seriously, for sending them in. The idea is that, I don't really have any qualifications in anything that I can really help you with. I'm not a psychologist or anything like that. Really, though I do have quite a bit of experience of sort of, my own experiences, my own life, and, some of the difficulties that being a trans woman in 2019 can actually bring with it. So I think the objective of the exercise here is just to try and help people. I don't want people to make some of the mistakes that I made if they can avoid it. I've learned a lot of lessons a very, very difficult way. So I sort of believe that the more I can share those experiences, the better it's going to be. But it is just my opinion. There's a million and one ways to do absolutely everything. There's a million blogs out there. There's makeup blogs, there's fashion blogs, there's coping mental health strategy blogs. There's a million and one things out there that are probably far superior to what I can tell you. So just remember that this is just my opinion, but hey, you asked. So here we go. Start rattling through some questions. So question one, coming right up. Okay, so today's first question comes from a Twitter follower, Maggie. Thanks for writing in, Maggie. And she wants to know if I've got any advice for buying feminine clothes on a budget. Because, clearly I'm obviously the model of high fashion right now. I don't know why you'd want to ask me, of all people, why you'd want to ask me this. But, nevertheless, I think you've got, I think there's a few things I've definitely picked up over the years. So hopefully some of this can help. I think the first thing that I would definitely say is go to a shop to buy your clothes. I spent years buying stuff online and you can't see it properly, you can't touch it, you can't feel it. And so you don't really know if it's going to be the right sort of material, and you quite often find that the actual quality just isn't there when it turns out. It might look really beautiful in a picture, but doesn't look all that good when it actually turns up. Honestly, just don't worry about whether you're, fully socially transitioned, whether you think you can, horrible word, but whether you think you can pass. People don't care, right? They're in a shop to sell you clothes. It doesn't really matter. You can go and you can have a look, even if you have to take some stuff back to start with. So if you're worried about trying things on. Don't forget as well that when you're walking around, a lot of these high street shops, they've got sort of new stuff in the window. There's trend ideas. They've got mannequins and you think, I like this, it looks good. And sales in stores are always really good. Check the sale rail. Most of it's by price and by size, which is just perfect. And you're looking for something, you're like, oh, I don't want to spend a fortune, I know roughly what size I am, so have a look. That sort of leads me on to my next point, actually, knowing your sizes. And the truth is, there's only one real way to do it, and that is to try stuff on. I can't stress this enough. The amount of clothes where I've bought them over the years, either online or indeed in stores, because I suddenly got, flustered or nervous or whatever. So I bought some clothes, come home, tried it all on, and it's all either way too tight or way too big or just a horrible fit. Things that look amazing on a mannequin and reading size guides and stuff like that, it's all great. But anybody that shops anywhere will be able to tell you that every single shop is very, very slightly different. Never mind sort of the difference between sort of smalls, mediums, larges, but even the difference between a size 10 in one shop, a size 12 in one shop, or indeed a size 10 and a 10 in two different shops can be enormous. So it's definitely worth, as much as possible, trying things on. And honestly, just don't worry about it. At the end of the day, like I say, they're there to sell you clothes. They're really not worried about who's buying what. In terms of sort of budgets, cheap doesn't have to mean scruffy. I'm not exactly well dressed today, right? Let's be honest. But this whole outfit was less than sort of 25 quid. I think I paid 10 quid for the jacket and a £5 for the dress. And I don't know what this is. I picked this up somewhere. I don't particularly like it, but it's sort of, I don't really care. But cheap doesn't have to be scruffy, Places especially in the UK, I don't know what the US counterpart would be, but places, especially in the UK, like Primark, you could buy a pair of jeans in Primark for 10 quid, yeah? for 10 quid. I've got loads of them, and they do them in lengths as well. I'm quite tall, I'm like 5'11", so I can buy jeans in a 34 leg in there for a tenner. If I want to get them at sort of specialist shops, even places like sort of Long Tall Sally, I mean, what, £50 and up for basically the same thing. Sure, it might not last as long, but doesn't look like cheap rubbish. It actually looks all right, I think, to be honest. You can mix and match things up as well. You know, you go into a shop and you buy, like, if you just buy, I just bought this dress, for instance. Yeah, sure, okay, you bought the dress, but what are you going to match it with? Find something that you can put over it, a jacket, a scarf, a belt, whatever, even just like I don't know if I like this, even just like a necklace or something, just to change it up a little bit. So it's much more about sort of using a few different items to create something that can actually look like it's worth a lot more than it was when you picked it up off the shelf. So that's really sort of my sort of big sort of thought on budget, is that cheap doesn't have to be scruffy. Having said that though, it doesn't hurt to have a couple of nice bits. I've got some pretty amazing clothes that I've picked up over the years. You know, they're sort of like, I suppose the phrase is statement pieces. I might only wear them once or twice. But I've got things like a Ted Baker dress, which I absolutely adore. Shoes, I very occasionally treat myself to some nice shoes. And it doesn't hurt just to have a couple of nicer things. Generally, I mean, like, even as far as t-shirts, I've got a few, I know I'm a bit old to be wearing Superdry, right? But I've got a few Superdry t-shirts that I wear. And yeah, okay, they're like £15 to £25 each, but the cut is nicer, the material's nicer, and I can wash them and they don't all shrivel up and go horrible afterwards. So yeah, I mean, to summarise, really, get out there, find a style that suits you, work out what sort of sizes are actually going to work for you in different shops, i.e. try things on. 2, budgets. Everywhere's got sales. Everywhere works to some sort of budget these days. Even some of the supermarkets. I mean, like, I buy a lot of work clothes now in Sainsbury's. And they've always, like, every other week they've got a 25% sale. So that's a definite win. And, you know, other than that, just get creative with it. Find a style that suits you. Find something that you like, that represents who you are if you want. Or just something that feels nice to wear. Mix and match things up and, you know, have fun with it. It's cool just to be able to sort of go out there and say, actually, I'm going to buy this, and this, and I'm going to look amazing wearing it. So, yeah, enjoy it. I hope this helps. Okay. Right, shall we move on? Cool. Hope that helped, Maggie. Bye for now. Okay, guys, question 2 for this first one comes from Nathan on Facebook. And Nathan was asking about my transition and how it's affected my daughter. It's a bit more serious than the last one, sorry. Nathan wanted to know how my daughter's found my transition. And I think generally, as a headline, she's just been incredible. She's coped so insanely well. You know, I won't lie, when it was actually a case of coming to talk to her about it, and it had been building up for quite a while, it was a massively daunting task. You know, she's 6, she was, what, 5 years old, sort of at the time. And I didn't really want to drag her into something until I knew exactly what was going on and how I tried to think of different ways to explain certain situations to her. I think from the beginning though, it was quite a gradient, and you've only got to look back at some of my pictures, some of my earlier posts, and you can see that sort of gradient. There was definitely sort of this whole androgynous period in my life, and so one day, I mean, the actual conversation, like how I really explained it to her, was I sat down with her. She was, well, I say sat down, we were in the car, she was in the back, and I said to her, you know, that I want to be a girl. I didn't want to go down the whole explaining that I've always been a girl thing, but, you know, I want to be a girl. And she goes, yeah. And I said, you know, I like sort of girl things. Trying to bear in mind, I'm trying to explain this to a 6-year-old. She said, yeah. And I said, well, what if there was a medicine that I could take that would make me a girl? Would that be cool? I mean, that's a huge thing to ask a 6-year-old, right? Her entire reaction, wait for it, she turned around to me and she said, the medicine? I said, yeah. She goes, is it yucky? yucky. Well, she's terrible. She hates, like, when she's had some tonsillitis, and she hates having to have that yucky sort of antibiotic medicine. And that was what she actually asked. She goes, is it yucky? And I said, no, it's fine. It's just a tablet. Just take it. It doesn't taste of anything. Just take it. And she goes, oh, yeah, okay, cool. That's cool. And that was basically how it all started. I suppose from that point forward, it was very much just about not making it an issue, you know. I wasn't particularly militant, like sort of no, get my pronouns right. I've never really been like that with her. It has just evolved. She has evolved to use those pronouns over time, and she's started to sort of understand who I am and recognise who I am. But we've kept her involved in it. She calls me Mima. Yeah, in our family, Mummy was already taken, so we sat and we had a chat about it. And yeah, we came to have something that we were all sort of mutually happy with, and we went with Mima. And so she calls me Mima. That actually helps quite a bit as well in situations like where perhaps we're in a changing room or I've had to take her to the toilet or something. Because, you know, shouting daddy when you're in the loo probably wasn't perfect, to be honest, during sort of those early days of transition. But that's fine, we got around that one. Generally, how has she found it? I think you wanted to know, sort of, have there been any difficult times? There's been a lot more good times than there have bad times. That's the headline here. But the first, probably the closest thing we've had to a bit of a real upset about it, was she got quite upset about her Father's Day assembly. Who was going to come to her Father's Day assembly? And I said, well, Mummy and me will come, you know, same as so many kids in your class who, you know, either haven't got a dad there or have got, you know, two dads or, you know, two mums. There's such a huge range of sort of diverse families in her class. I did actually raise the issue with her teacher at one point as well. Not to try and make it a big problem, but just to sort of make her aware of what was going on. Within a few days, there were posters up in the classroom with pictures of different types of families, so different parental groups, different, you know, mixed-race families, gay families, lesbian families, and all of these families, it just said underneath them, different families, same love. And that message has been really well spread through the school. The reason I don't really want to dwell on whether she's been upset is because the truth is she hasn't. She's been absolutely brilliant from start to finish. If anything, she stops me from getting upset, which is the most darling thing. I mean, the first time we went swimming, I mean, you can imagine. I think everybody, you know, most people have got some sort of body confidence issue. Being sort of, you know, a trans woman, that is somewhat magnified, I think, for me. I think for quite a lot of us. And indeed, when you're swimming, which is essentially, let's face it, wearing underwear in a public place, you know, that I think it all starts to build up to being quite stressful. But she's just so emotionally turned on. She you know, switched on, that she clicked really quickly that there was something up. And she turned to me and she said, listen, don't worry about it. You're with me. We're going to have fun. It'll be great. And yeah, sure enough, she was right. I was really nervous until we got in the water and she started drowning, and then like the mum response kicked in and like, oh my God, save my drowning baby. But yeah, no, I don't know if that helps answer it at all. I mean, in terms of sort of the actual question, how has she found it? I mean, really, I suppose you'd have to ask her. But from, you know, seeing what I see of her as her mum, being realistic, you know, she's just been incredible, barring a couple of very minor incidents. How is she coping with it? Just brilliantly. If anything, I'd say that it's made her really aware of sort of things like sexism. She calls out sexism these days. Why are they saying girls can and boys can't? That's sexist. This is coming out of a 6-year-old. She stopped wearing pink for ballet because just because I'm a girl, I don't have to wear pink. you know, so I've possibly created this small, not anarchist, what's the word? We're still with activist, hopefully not an anarchist. But no, I mean, yeah, all in all, I've just tried to be upfront and in terms of explaining, just be totally honest with her, step by step, treat her like, you know, the grown-up that she's really sort of shown herself to be. Yeah, so anyway, I hope that goes some way to answering your question, and I wish you all the best with everything you've got to go through or anything you choose to go through with your kids, with your family as well. So thanks very much for your question, Nathan. Cheers. Okay, so yeah, that's a couple down. This is a bit harder than I thought it was going to be, actually, because, you know, especially some of the things we've just been talking about, it sort of opens up some old feelings. But, you know, at the end of the day, I guess that's why I'm doing this. You know, I've already sort of been through, or indeed am going through, some of these problems. And at least if I'm sort of able to share with you guys, hopefully, you know, you can start to see that things are achievable. If I've learned anything in the last, you know, in the last 2 years, it's that so much more is possible than I ever thought. I can just do so much more than I ever thought I could do. Anyway, so thanks very much for all your questions so far, guys. I really massively appreciate you writing in. Keep it coming though, yeah? More questions, the better. I know I'm only getting through a couple today, but I promise I'll get round to all of them eventually. The idea being that, you know, over time, hopefully I can build up, I don't know, a bit of a knowledge base, a bit of a library of things that people may one day actually find simple. So anyway, if you can, you know, please feel free, guys, to like the video. Please do subscribe and please do share, because the more people that we can answer questions for, the more people that I can help, the more people that I can try and help, I should say, then the further this is going to go and the more benefit it's potentially going to have. Guys, seriously, thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye!